Hello everyone, welcome back. Tiffany wanted a celeb hideaway for her vacation home, and I honestly don't know what that means. The required items were not a whole lot to go off of, and I had to think a minute when choosing the plot. I ended up going with one of the tropical islands because this to me screams hideaway, like it's in a cove of sorts. I also didn't know what to make the exterior. I went through several different options before settling on the right one. When I made this video, my setup was slightly different. I had my Switch plugged into my TV, which I don't do normally. I have like a monitor that I use, except I was not at my usual setup. Typically when I do film all of my videos, I have my Switch like docked, obviously, because you can't record unless it's docked, and I have it hooked up to just a monitor. It's not a special gaming one, although I do need to get one of those at some point because this monitor is not that great. However, I had it plugged into my TV for the time being, and because of that, and with the capture card, there was like the slightest amount of input lag with my controller, and it was noticeable to me. I don't think you notice it super much on this video because it is sped up so well, but I don't know. It was not great. It is what it is though. I'm going back to my normal setup by the time you guys see this video. I was just home for a week basically and traveled back up north, long story short, but we are here now trying to make this celeb hideaway. I do change the little sculpture thing out by the door. I think I turn one of them around at the end of the video. I'm realizing now that they could have faced the door instead of like having their backsides face the door. I also didn't realize that the other side of that sculpture had that gold plaque looking thing on the bottom, or the gold plate, whatever it is. So it can work well either way, regardless of if it's facing you head on or from the back. These items were really strange in my opinion, like what she wanted, because I feel like it's very different from her actual house that you get, like her default one. I redid her house already on my island. You guys can watch that if you're interested. But her house, like interior, the default one, screams seedy dive bar, kind of. And this is not that. This is like the complete opposite. I also wish that we could put stuff in the water. I know why we can't. It's Nintendo. They said no. But it would be cool to put the yacht and like the little floaties and stuff in the water, like the inner tubes and whatever. I also debated heavily on whether or not to make this a 2-story build. I obviously don't do that in the end. We're here just doing 1 story. And I didn't know what color palette I wanted to go with either. I just settled on the green and white. I think it looks fine. It reminds me of my Animal Crossing house, because I think that my top level room is like this in terms of like the color scheme and stuff. Anyway, I hope you guys have been doing well. It's been cold here where I am now. When you guys are seeing this, I'll actually be on a plane going back up to Boston. But we are in the Northeast for the next several weeks, and it is cold. And unfortunately, I missed it when it snowed. I was not in the area when we got snow, and it was really disappointing to me. I love the snow, mainly because I don't have to go out and shovel it or whatever, but also I just love the look of snow. My dog loves the snow. I think the snow is great. Another fun thing that I've been doing is going through the David's Tea advent calendar every night, because you know it's the advent calendar. You do like 1 per day typically, unless you watch those YouTubers who open an advent calendar all in one video. I've been watching a lot of those lately just to have on in the background. They're really fun. The one that Mia Maples did recently was so funny. Her and her mother unboxed like several advent calendars in that video, one of them being the David's Tea one, and there are some that are just so insanely terrible. If you guys like want to watch content like that, check hers out. Her product reviews and stuff are like absolutely hilarious to me, and I feel like just overall her content is really good if you are interested in stuff like that. But the tea calendar, I've been getting this since like 2017. In the last 3 or 4 years, my father and I have been having a tradition where we have the tea every night, as well as like a cookie or something sweet. Like we have it after dinner. I've talked about this before, but I love coffee. I'm a coffee person in the morning. However, I do love my tea. I like tea in the afternoon or tea at night. My boyfriend's father actually still does tea time. His family is Indian. My boyfriend's parents are Indian, and they still observe tea time and some of the customs that they observed when they grew up in India, because, you know, India was colonized by the British and they brought over some of that stuff like tea time. And when I was visiting them in Hawaii a couple couple of years ago, as that is where his parents live, they had tea time, and it was just such a surreal thing to me. The only other time I had ever had an actual tea, other than going to a place for like a high tea, is I dated a guy. This was like 13, 14, 15 years ago at this point. I was almost out of high school. He lived in England. Long story short, this sounds absolutely ridiculous. I have no contact with this person anymore. He turned out to be a terrible person. But I went to England, and one of the days that I was there, this was during like a school break because our breaks lined up. One of the days that I was there, we actually like had legit tea, like just tea and biscuits or whatever. He came here for a bit. It was a whole thing. I'm glad that I'm like not involved in that anymore. Unfortunately, most of my relationships have been long distance. This has nothing to do with the video. If you guys are not interested in this, like, I don't know what to tell you, but I'm gonna go on a little rant. Unfortunately, a lot of my relationships have been long distance. However, I feel like I've been afforded a lot of interesting opportunities because of that. The longest distance, I think, was the British guy. Although, is Hawaii farther than England to Massachusetts? Probably. Editing me here, I googled it. It's like 2,000 miles farther away than England. I don't know why that was even a question. Of course Hawaii is further. My current boyfriend, who we're gonna get married at some point, he grew up in Hawaii, and the first couple years of our relationship was unfortunately during the beginning of the pandemic, so nobody was going anywhere. We met at a conference in 2015, very briefly. It is a conference for people who are blind or visually impaired, the American Council of the Blind. They are a non-profit consumer advocacy organization. The whole conference thing, we met in like 2015, very briefly in an elevator, and I never saw him again. And he saw me around. He can see better than I can. I talk more about this, and he's in a few of my videos on my main channel. Anyway, he can see better than I can. He said he always would see me around like at years afterwards because we would keep going to this conference every year. And then in 2019 was when we had like been reconnecting. We re-met each other through a mutual acquaintance, and here we are. We've been together for like 5 years, and I think he's gonna propose to me at Christmas. This is a very exciting time for us. He lives much, much, much closer to me now, and he works in cybersecurity. He is honestly like probably the best person that I've ever been fortunate enough to know in terms of like being in a relationship. He is just so kind and he gets it. He's like empathetic, he's generous, he's a genuinely great person. And the fact that we're both low vision does help because like we can both understand what each other is going through from that perspective. I've never actually dated somebody who's sighted. I know some people in the blind community only date other blind people. Some people in the blind community don't want to date other blind people. They only date like, you know, people who are sighted, for example. And I quite frankly like never thought either way. It just ended up happening that I have only dated other guys who are visually impaired. One of them who lives in Massachusetts still, he and I were in a relationship for a couple of years when I was in college. He's just an interesting person that I also have no contact with, but like I just don't have anything to say to him. He's not like a bad guy versus the British guy, like completely done with that. He was not great. My current boyfriend, he, in addition to like the whole being understanding of each other with the whole disability thing, he's just like very chill. And I think that part of that too has to do with like where he grew up. Like he's still kind of on island time sometimes and very much like go with the flow. And because I grew up in the Northeast, I'm very much like, oh my God, we have to go, like get this done right now. I'm very much go, 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 go. This whole video has been me talking about my relationships. I just don't really have a whole lot to talk about. Like I haven't been doing a ton of things lately apart from editing. I did go out today shopping actually when I'm doing this voiceover. I went to Kohl's because I had a 30% off coupon or whatever and I needed a new pair of jeans and I got that. And then when I was checking out, the lady gave me an ornament for free. I guess like they were being given out with orders or whatever. And it's an ornament of how the Kohl's cash looks. You guys might not know what I'm talking about, especially if you don't have Kohl's or if you don't shop at it, like if the store doesn't exist near you or whatever. Kohl's Cash is like the money rewards that you kind of get in the mail, kind of like a coupon. If you spend like a certain amount, you get Kohl's Cash to spend during your next shopping period or whatever. Like it activates like a week later or during like a specific time. I don't know. I just bought the one thing because I got the 30% off. It came to a good price for me, and the lady gave me this ornament, and it looks like 2 pieces of Kohl's Cash like stacked, but it's like thick, and it's an actual ornament I think that they sell, because like it has a tag on it that says that it's from the store, from their St. Nicholas Square Christmas line or whatever. It is the funniest thing, and it is going on my Christmas tree. To go along with that, somebody in a Discord that I'm in, a friend of mine, said that her family has an ornament that's a bottle of Heinz ketchup, and I absolutely love that for them. It is absurd, and I hope that you're watching this video and you know who you are, because that's amazing. If you guys are watching this in the present, it is like a couple weeks after Thanksgiving, and I want to know what your holiday traditions are, if you have any. Like, what do you celebrate? I'm probably going to talk about this a little more during upcoming videos in the next couple weeks, but we do a very big thing on Christmas Eve. My mom's side of the family is Italian. My dad's side of the family is not, but they are also like more spread out, and it's just, we've been doing the same thing more or less every year for most of my life with my mom's side of the family. One of my uncles hosts. We have like a very long drawn out night on Christmas Eve where we have like a several course meal, most of it seafood, although there is some meat, and we do dessert. Obviously, we have a gift swap, a Yankee swap. Some people might call it a white elephant. It's not a secret Santa. It's like you pick numbers out of a hat and then you go and you can either pick from the pile and open the gift that you get and keep it, or you open the gift, and if you don't want to keep it, you trade with like another person who already opened or whatever. But we do that, and then we like exchange actual gifts, and this goes from like 4 or 5 p.m. until like 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm dead serious, because there are a lot of us. There's like 20 something, plus most of my cousins are married now. A couple of them have infants, toddlers. There are also some friends that come to, like close family friends, toward the end of the night during the gift swap. I don't know, it's just like very happy memories here. But like, what do you celebrate? How do you celebrate? What are some of your traditions? Like, what do you do? I know that Hanukkah this year, I think, is starting Christmas night, so that's really cool, because I don't think that's happened in quite a while. I remember when it started on Thanksgiving a few years back. A good friend of mine is Jewish, and they hosted Thanksgiving. Like when she lived with her parents, they hosted. I think it was like a whole big thing, because it was Thanksgiving and the first night of Hanukkah all in one. Do any of you celebrate Boxing Day? What's that like? I know like roughly what it is and what it derives from, I guess, but I don't know like what you guys do in the modern day, if anything. We're at the end though. As usual, I got 30,000 pokey for my work. I'm never gonna get promoted to the greatest of all time designer, but thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave any comments, feedback, and suggestions down below, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.